Hello all, my name is Dr. Tej. I am an associate VP. I'm a co-founder of two companies and I'm also a self-made millionaire. I graduated from IT Madras, also finished my MS and PhD from New York University, was one of the core frontiers in designing advanced surveillance systems, data engineering pipelines, and I lead the advanced tech for SATCOMs as well as I do a lot of events on advanced training as well as giving insights into people like you, and then adding a motivation into the advanced technologies that will for sure be useful for your next 5 to 10 years to 20 years. And among them, so let us start. One of them, accelerating our cloud data warehousing with Snowflakes. Now, giving you a small intro, right? No matter what application we build, either let it be a front end application, let it be a social media application, let it be an internal analytical application, let it even be, you know, something that we do in Honeywell. We build a lot of SATCOM, IoT, and one of our premium clients are also Lockheed Martin. They're into the military defense and also your fifth generation military weapons, and then their coordination among their SATCOMs. And then one of our other premium clients are Saudi Aramco. We build a state of art IoT networks and also satellite imagery. So, satellites communication with the inbuilt frameworks that we design into some cloud platforms like AWS and Azure. But all of this have one thing in common. All of the frontiers, the clients use one data warehousing component that is called as Snowflakes. So our agenda for today is me trying to give you an insight into what is the uniqueness of the Snowflakes, how does it help us in either our data scientists, data engineers, our normal web developers, or in our computer advanced tech fields. Now, as per my experience, right, I can share few insights to you guys. First of all, what is a data warehousing? Now, you know there is a DB as well as there is data warehouse. To put it very short and sweet, consider your house garage that can handle and keep in two cars versus maybe your IPL stadium parking lot, right? That can host 1,000 cars. The difference between your home parking lot and uh, you know, your stadium parking lot is its capacity to handle those many cars. If you have only two cars, you can keep it in your garage, you can keep it in your stadium parking lot also. But then you have an event, and then suddenly, there's like 500 cars, the guests coming in. In your house garage, you cannot keep those cars. You cannot keep 500 cars. But in your stadium parking lot, you can keep this. So the data warehouse, right, is the process of collection and manipulating the data from various sources of your application, your core applications, your processing applications, your front end applications, and then you do such that the most inside data is again rerouted into, right, a safe and store storage, that is your data warehousing. Now you must have heard Facebook, Twitter. Why do you think Elon Musk bought Twitter for $32 billion, right? He bought it so that he can obviously like serve the people as well as run Twitter. But most importantly, it will also generate a lot of money. How? Analytics. In the field of analytics, right? It is the reusing of your insights into trying to forecast something or trying to run ads or trying to do some predictive analytics or maybe just saving your most inside data for your visualizations that you can sell to other customers and all of this, no matter which industry are you from, it's got one thing in common, that is a data warehouse. When you got this thing in common, right, at start itself, why don't you have a proper data warehouse with more features? Now you only think, if you are say doing an expenditure or you are doing say mining of something, You're trying to find gold and there is sand. Where do you keep all your gold items? You keep it in a locker, you keep it in a safe. This data warehousing is also the same place you generally store all your valuable information, data, everything in your data warehouse. But then again, there is two things. One, your traditional data warehouses, and then second, your modern data warehouses. When we come to the traditional data warehouse, keep in mind that it is just an ETL process, meaning you take it from the source, maybe a processing engine, and then you do it in such a way that you do like source, extract is your source, maybe your table one, transformation is your queries, that is a Q1, and then load is your destination, that is you're writing it out. Again, this means ETL. It can also be E1, T1, L1. Your L1 becomes the E1, E2, then again the next one is T2, and again L2. Like this itself forms like a small chain of ETLs that forms your entire data engineering pipelines. So the traditional data warehouse is also like this. But what is the difference of your old and your newer one? Now, for this, you have to understand that there is simple on maybe, right? Yeah. There is just simple thing that your compute and your storage differs, meaning your traditional data warehousing, it has some setback. The setbacks can have like either if it's we are talking about your on-premises one, you have to have a lot of infrastructure, you have to have a lot of people maintaining those servers. Inside the servers you need a lot of data warehouses. Now if this was 2012 and 2011 where even I was working, I was just a new team leader and then I rose to project manager, and then we had to build a lot of things under the data centers, and not everyone can launch commercial applications. The reason being, there is only one thing: too much cost. On premises gives you too much cost. You have to have a lot of people. There are high logics on the networking as well as the infrastructures build. Now, right now, I'm happy. Okay, I'm a self made millionaire. I worked very hard. But still, now, if there comes a project of on premises, we have to build some data warehouse of your traditional data warehouse, then even I'll get, oh man, there's a lot of work into it. But is there an alternative? There is. That is the cloud data warehousing. Now, in this one, what is this? We got a couple of cloud provider services like AWS, Azure, as well as GCP. These guys give you in such a way that, hey, listen, what do you want? You want a service, or you want a database, or you want a compute, or you want a data warehouse. All you have to do is listen, just wait for a minute, let me just sign up, and then, we can just like have like this. Meaning, if this is my cloud data warehouse, some of you guys might be working in AWS or Azure or might have seen the portals, right? Okay, that is fine. I mean, I can just sit in my computer, launch my server, and then I can do something on it. But then we have phases. Phases in the sense we have the first phase as ingestion, and then we have some application tiers, we have some processing tiers, we have some analytical tiers, and all your inside data from all this as well as everything goes and sits in data warehousing. So do we have a cloud data warehouse also? Definitely we have AWS, we have AWS Redshift, we have Azure's Synaptis, and we have GCP's Cloud Query. Now, all this are fine. We have all this. But then where does Snowflake fit in? Now, traditionally, as per my experience, right, I've told you there are only four assistant VPs that deal with a lot of premium clients, and I deal with the two of the most richest clients that we got, Lockheed Martin as well as Saudi Aramco. And yes, other two we got government's project. I was also dealing with the infrastructure of the firmware design and the transfers. for SpaceX, but then again, they launched their own and they wanted to do everything on their own. But yes, they did learn from us too. But I was not leading that, my boss was leading it. And then we had good interactions for that. They also used snowflakes. If you ever see the integration and the ID for the snowflakes, and then you got to see some of the Apple products or the space, the Tesla cars interface and all, right, for its IoT and everything, it has got its real time databases, but then it has got its analytical databases. All its insights go stored in snowflakes. So why is this guy is very famous? There are two secrets around this. One, the people that build snowflakes, right, into a data engineering as well as a data warehouse, these guys are not normal people. These guys were the core data engineers for Oracle. Now, if you guys knew, Oracle, right, was a big player and is still one of a big player, but its focus was in databases. These guys shifted it to, hey, okay, I'll be loyal to my company. I won't head into databases. Oracle is good. But then let me go and take care of the data warehouse part. Did they live up to his expectations? Definitely yes. These were the guys that lived up to his expectations on two things. That is, they got around 1,000 customers initially itself, and I still remember it was 2015 16. They were still into their initial phases. By 2017, right, they got $3.5 billion evaluation. It is because of two things again I mentioned. One, its engineers and its design. Second, its decoupling of it, the compute and the storage. Meaning that we literally know if we need a table, we need a database. If we need a database, then what do we need? We definitely need a server. But once if the server should always be running, if the server is stopped, our database is still, and then our tables are gone, right? But what Snowflakes did is the modern data warehousing, they have put a blueprint. They have told, hey, you know what? We can save time and cost in its compute level. So what they have said is, hey, why don't we do this as a decouple? We will put the storage in such a way that it is a file storage. People can read a lot of things on it. And then we'll put the compute also separate. Now, where did they get this idea from? They got this idea from a lot of permutation combination of how big data systems work, how distributed systems work. How can I immediately launch from a single system to a distributed system? Now, what does this mean? This means that we have a storage unit separately put. So let me go to this architecture over here. We got this database system, that is the storage level separately put. And on top of it, just like how mosquitoes come and sit on your hand and then take away your juice, right? Like that, these guys are the compute that sits on top of the storage. When maybe I'm doing my POC, right, I will keep only one compute on top of this database storage. But when I actually require my commercial things, I got a lot of data and I need more power, then what I will do, I will launch much more distributed clusters. And not only this, maybe this both are mine and I'm launching distributed clusters to compute my data. And then there is my reporting team. What my reporting team says is, hey, even I want to like feed on the data and I want to do and take out a report of this weekly. So I will launch my own virtual warehouse. This virtual warehouse will sit just side of my computation, still feed on the data, meaning it is actually doing like how we do like a two-level buffering, meaning all our data is in our first and final storage. From there is where our data set is in. So this is how the concept of the snowflakes work. And this was a revolutionary change in your modern data warehousing because even though my cost it immensely decreases when required, my performance increases. Now, for example, you're doing some intensive work. Your dad or mom has given you work. You got a bunch of friends to help you out. You'll always feel happy. Maybe you got 5 to 10 friends that goes like, hey, may I help you? So suddenly you become like a leader, and all your friends are your helpers, and then you guys go on to do the work very fast. So in a master worker node relationship, right? These guys get a lot of this data, get in running up. This is your modern way of your data warehousing concept. This was just the second one. Now, Snowflakes has some features too. The architecture just now explained you guys. It has some features. This is highly secure. You can do distributed processing. You can do concurrency. So, a lot of features there that you understand. But okay, what makes it special? Why everybody goes to it? Now, the reason everybody goes to it is because of these things. There is something called as it can handle semi-structured data also, meaning not only coming from your application level, Snowflakes can sit in either AWS, Azure, and GCP. The moment you sign up for a Snowflakes, I'll be showing you a small 5 to 10 minutes demo where you'll be like, hey, did I just now knew how to do Snowflakes? Okay. So before that, what are its features? The first feature is it will sit in any of the cloud storage. So what Snowflake's done is whatever he requires in what sense? In this sense that maybe he has his products and everything in Azure, maybe he has his application everything in AWS, but maybe he has his other component of his software in GCP. Yet Snowflakes will allow me to put my server in one of the first one. So I will select maybe AWS, but from AWS, I can pull in all the information from AWS, my applications, my processing or my other one from my Azure, also my GCP. So your server will be sitting in either one of your cloud, and it only uses the compute because Snowflakes turns out as a software as a solution. And then this helps you immensely. People love it. Everybody started loving it. Hey, that means that I don't have to be bound just by AWS, just by Azure, just by GCP. Now that is one of the superb feature. Followed by the second most attractive feature of this is I can load my data and also unload my data. All my data is in my Snowflake's data warehouse, but also my ingestion, I can take it from lot of sources. Now this part might be boring. Okay, I can do. Okay, this is like every feature is there. But next, the feature is something called as my shared drive. Meaning, if I am the data warehouse expert, I am working on the data. And let me tell you on my experience, the satellite imagery components or certain records that we store is like huge. It's like terabytes of data. And suddenly, our team is in Australia and our team requires a little bit of processing on that because client says, hey, so this data, let it go to that team. They need to process something. Now we have to copy all the data to them. That's again a lot of time. No. What the next feature is Snowflake tell us, hey, you can just share your data. Just give them a link, give them their account. You authenticate, giving them the permission. You take their account number and you tell this guy can only access. And instead of they copying it, they can have direct access to the information. Now, this is one of its feature. Now, along with this, the next one it has is something called as time travel. Now, just consider this time travel might be a little tricky, but I'll put it in very simple sense. For example, an IPL match is going on, right? You are a data warehouse or a data analytics or a data engineer or a data scientist, or you might be a front end or you might be a programming expert. But you might see that at 8 p.m., considering the match is from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m., at 8 p.m., team number 2 is winning. And at 9:30, team number 1 is winning. Again at 9:45, the team number 2 is winning. And you kind of saw that or did not see that, but it's already almost match over 11 p.m. Then immediately, by chance, you have a time machine or you have a YouTube where you go and see the video, and then once you see the video, you even scroll back in time. You see, hey, let me go at 8 p.m. What is happening? Okay, 8 p.m. I can see that, hey, this team is winning, but I think these players are playing very nice. So you're analyzing the match, right? You have those things also. And then immediately at 9:15, you go back in time. Okay, so team one was winning by 9:30, team two is winning. So what happened? Let me see. Okay, the scores were like this. Okay, this is like this. So you're analyzing your match like that. When you have a data coming in every day, every week, that is usually the data comes in the data warehouse in your company. You have this feature called as time travel, where, like, you, as if you're traveling in a time machine, you can scroll back in a data till 90 days by default and even more. So what this does is, very smartly, these guys maintain some versions and some checkpoints, and these can scroll back in time to see your historical data, the change committed, how is the transmission happening. You basically understand the insights. Now, what is the important in understanding the insights? Just like an IPL match, if you can understand, say, how is the players playing and all, you can do better forecasting, right? The next time the same team player comes in face to face, you'll be like, hey, this player hits like this, that player hit like that. You have more information on your data. Now, this feature is also called as SCD type 1, type 2, type 3. But what you should know is these guys follow and give you a time traveling option so that your historical data, your forecasting is much better. The next one is cloning. You don't have to clone your data in your things. You just have to copy it. As you copy it, right, it gives you that you're copying, but no data is copying. It is just giving you a change commit. You play on with the same data, right? And then let me just share my screen to just show you a small demo too on this. For example, my entire screen. Yeah. So how easy it is to use. The next thing is the most easiest. Hey, I'm a Snowflakes. How do I do with this? How do I get started with this? I go and start for free, and then I enter my name. Say for example, Tej, and then Siva, and then maybe Dr. Tej at Annual or wait, at Gmail. I'm just writing a dummy email. Your company, right? And then your role, maybe assistant VP, your data scientist, and then India. The second one it says is your standard enterprise and business critical. Don't worry about this. It'll give you a 30 days worth of free. Okay, fine. After 30 days, what? Yeah, you can put your Visa card or your card. It will not cut money. Still, you have got $400 free for a year. So either you can do that or just create another account just for you to explore. But always select this enterprise so that you can see the time travel feature, also the multi-cluster, and something called as material views. Just a short thing, your views are temporary store, right? And then, like I said, it'll ask you where do you want to keep your primary snowflakes. Now I'll tell, hey, let me put it in Azure or let me put it in AWS. Either one, it'll just create a store for you, and then you gotta check this and then get started. You just authenticate it. You'll get an email, and after you get an email, what you get is you get like this email address. You say, hey, welcome to Snowflakes. This is your username and this is your login. Now, if all of you guys know, let me just tell you, some of you guys might be working in a database or not. This is just my SQL client. Any SQL in the cloud or any, what do you say, database in the cloud will have something called an endpoint. Maybe this is my database called RDS. And then I just put a dummy server address. And then I put some 304 and all. And then say I put some admin, and then I put a password. Now over here, what happens is that, right, when you're trying to put in the username, password, and everything, and also the initial DB, it gives you an endpoint of the server. And then once you want to connect to it, it'll connect in such a way that your admin name and password at the rate of your endpoint and your initial DB and your what type of engine is this. Similarly, Snowflakes also, it will give you something called as a dedicated URL. So what this does is, once only it gives you this, you just copy this, it'll open over here, and then it'll give you a console, and then you type in your username, and I recommend you save all your endpoint and your username and your password, because this is your login ID. I mean, this is your login URL. It says that this is my login URL of Computer Snowflakes, and this will open my username and my password. Once I log in, I'm into my Snowflakes. Once I'm into my Snowflakes, understand, this is my whole ID console. This is my Snow GUI. Over here, I have couple of things first. I can directly go on to create an SQL, some sheet, right? Also, let me just give you a walkthrough. Your sheets that you work on is over here. It's just a simple SQL thing that you can do. Maybe you can see what all databases I have, or what all things. Let me just initially start here, right? I can say what all databases and all I have, just my SQL queries, right? You press Control Enter to just run this. I've got all these databases here. And then, in fact, I will go to my home and I will say, hey, look, this is my data over here, and all this is my databases. So I have my workspace. So let me go here. I have my workspace. I can create some SQL sheet as well as some Python. Here I got my dashboard. In my dashboard, I can create some visualizations. I got my data. The data is where all my DBs are there, and all my schemas and my tables, all those are there, right? I can directly see. Or inside a schema or a database, I can create a table or something. Or inside my schema, right? I can create a table as well as a view as well as a stage. So what this does mean is, for example, let me just manually go and create one more here. So I need my SQL, and here let me tell create database, and then I will tell, let me say this as database, say Honeywell. Okay. If this is the database Honeywell, I can say that the database is created, and then I gotta use my database Honeywell. And then here I use my database. Once I use the database, I can go and just duplicate this once just to see has the database created. So I go to my work home, and then I go into my data, and then I check Honeywell is created, right? But I got the default schema as public. So what I want to do is I want to create a schema. So schema, see, between inside your database, you got tables, but then you can also create a special schema that is in between. Say, these are my related to advanced tech. So I will say advanced tech. So I create a schema called advanced tech, and then I use that advanced tech schema, right? So right now I'm created a new advanced cap schema, and here if I just refresh, I can see over here I got my schema. In my schema, I can go and write my tables here, or I can directly just press this, or not my information schema, my advanced tech is my, and I can go create a table. One more special thing about this Snowflakes is, understand, you got your standard tables, also external tables. Now, what are these external tables is, let me just very quickly just give you a small insight here. This external tables, right, is an illustration. You normally got your whole full internal tables that are your usual tables, just like your modern data warehousing. These are the modern external tables. In the model external tables, how this happens is, these are just a view of a table but actually it is stored in your file storage. It is stored as a .paraquet file. This .paraquet file itself is called as a delta table. And then this whole technology itself is called as or referred to as, hey, let us put a table in a delta table. Let us put a table in our data lakes. The reason is, instead of your traditional DB and then your tables, these external tables sit in an illustration view as if it is in a DB, it is a table, but actually it is being stored as a separate file. So this is one of the thing. Now let us me just go here very quickly and say, let me create a very small table. Okay, table maybe info, and then in my info I just need ID comma name, and then inside my ID I got my int, and got inside my thing I got my varchar, right? You just use simple SQL, and then once I execute this, my table is done, and then I can go also go see my table here. And then once your table is done also, how easy it is, you can directly go and load the data here, or you can manually write it over here. So by chance I manually write, there are 4 methods here. So insert into table info values, and your values might be 101, say max, and then followed by 102, say Lily, right? And then here one semicolon, and then enter. So insert into not table info, insert into info, and then I run this. So okay, 2 times it happened. Huh? Yeah, insert into info, and I run this. So both this data goes and sits here. Now if I select star from info, right? Stores. Now this one is a usual DB only like data warehouse, but what it does is over here, it will also allow me to go and load a data up till 50 MB. But what if more than 50 MB? So here one is manual, one is load the data, right? Or it's gonna give me here, I press this schema and then I say staging option or my storage integration. In my staging option, I can stage this into an external, or from my storage integration, I can pull this from an S3 bucket, right? So here it will pull from my S3 location and then store. The next command is do is from this storage integration insert into that table. Or manually right now what I'm going to teach you is just select that info, load it, and what I just created this very small table, right? Now one thing is this test2, right? What I did is I just created a small file in Excel. 103 Bob, 104 Robbie, 105 Molly. Now, if I try to go and upload that same Excel file, right? It will not take it. If I select CSV this and I go, it'll say it's loaded fail. It is saying, hey, I got 2 columns, but this has 3 columns, because normally your Excel file has a row ID also. So what you should do is, by chance you're trying to load an Excel file, you just open that and then save it under CSV file. So here what you do is you go and just save it under your CSV file, that is comma separated, and then this becomes this, right? Once you save that, this is the same file, I just saved it under comma separated file. This will be taken. So I just go back, I cancel this, I load my data, and then I press this test2, and then I'm able to load, and so easy, right? Next, and then I can directly query my data, and I'll be able to see all the 5 rows, right? 2 I compiled, 3 I loaded. So this is this easy. Now one thing you figured out is, hey, where is my compute? How is it running magically? Now here is where your compute is. Once you signed up for this, it'll give you an X small, but then you can launch it under multi-clustered also. You got your roles also. You can create users that restrict some permission. Now I'm under admin, but if I'm giving this access to someone, I'll put it under minimum security, minimum access, and give them, right? Also, about the sharing feature, I can share it to someone, right? Also, let me just open this part wherein I'm just giving you a glimpse into everything. Okay. So here, this, maybe this, yeah, here. Here, what I can see, I loaded some data and everything. But then, if you can see here, I must have shared this. Yeah. So this part, what I'm saying is, inside the SQL itself, right? I can write functions also. This is one of another features. I can write Python functions into it, and what happens under my, say, for example, my tables, you can see over here on the left side, I've created a lot of functions. With this lot of functions, I can reuse on the table and I can get some things working with. Because in your SQL, you cannot write area, multiplication, this, that very easily. But when you integrate it with Python as well as SQL, your functionality of your data warehouses increases abundantly. You can see over here, and these are called as the scalar and the tabular functions. This is one feature. And I was about to just show you the time travel. So here, one more thing is my account sharing. So this one, see, recently I shared my this database and account to two of my project manager. One is in USA right now, and then one is in Australia right now. So I'm sharing it with one person in USA and I'm sharing it with one person in Australia. And even I'm working on the same database, and all I do is I create a share account and give. This is one feature. Plus the time travel. Like I told you, it's not only versioning, you can use three types. That is, on your time series, you can use something called as offset. This offset, what you do, from my present time, go the last 5 minutes time travel. It will analyze the last 5 minutes as a whole, where you can go here and there between the 5 minutes and see what are the changes committed, how is the data transforming. Or you, for a better one, you can make this the big one and then use a timestamp and all, wherein you go 7 hours back from this date. So right now I am at May 16th, but under the time travel, I can just use these things, right? So I can use my time travel and then go back to a point in reference. From there, I can analyze the last 7 hours or even the last 48 hours, 72 hours, like that, to see how the changes in commit of data is there. This is more advanced for forecasting, for your historical data. And right now, even a lot of companies are asking for this part, right? Or the next part is, hey, this user has done something. From here, how has he managed to do that? Or what events have triggered? Using his query number also, they can go back. So all this gives much more crucial information into this. And you see, it is as easy as just writing and playing like a video game, as well as your data warehouse is fun too, as well as it's very powerful. So these are all powerful things of SQL. And even if you compare the next best, that is AWS, it's $1 trillion almost handling businesses, right? So almost AWS is almost handling clients' data, information, value worth almost 1.6 trillion. It's got even Redshift. Even these guys respect Snowflakes. They have integrated Snowflakes under their AWS environment. And then here, everything is automated. Everything you take care of. The main things Snowflakes takes care of. You only seamlessly handle, scale, and then do your queries, everything, while Snowflakes takes care of everything else. Right? I hope you got an insight. One more thing I want to just tell as a final takeaway is, it is always best to upskill to the latest one, especially when it's a very competitive world. I might be in a self made millionaire. I'm just from an average family. I'm right now sitting in a 17-floor building owned by me. I'm in India for quite some time now. And then one thing I can tell is once you fall in love with the technologies, the newer technologies, and then start adapting to the newer ones, upskill yourself, just explore, fall in love, and whenever the time comes, showcase that in your company, as well as when you showcase yourself and tell, like, hey, I got these things wherein I upskill myself in these technologies. So, what do you say, my company? I'm like working out, right? So, all these things actually helps out. Okay. And that's my final pointer. Thank you and have a good day, dears.
I hope you have enjoyed listening to this video. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries, and we will reply them at the earliest. Do look out for more videos in our playlist and subscribe to Edureka channel to learn more. Happy learning!